live now.
Watch The Fling Show live on YouTube Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Central Time.
Micro disc golf is a concept that I sort of created and evolved because there's all this parkland and there's all these little pocket parks and they're not being used. And just like you said, basketball courts. My grandson loves disc golf and is crazy about basketball.
There's a tree there. Go back.
His partner's got it though. Come on, partner. Put it on in there, partner. Branch. Yeah. Boom.
Pretty funny. Get it.
I'm gonna say that one.
The long version. Heck yeah.
Expectations.
It's probably going to flip and go left, but I'm going to try to put enough hyzer on it to get it through that gap.
A little left.
Yeah.
The Fling Show. The Fling Show. Y'all wanna know about the mystery of flight. You wanna hear about the scene done right. So kill your TV and just come outside. We're gonna take you on a beautiful ride. The Fling Show. The Fling Show. The Fling Show. The Fling Show. The Fling Show.
All right. Well, welcome, folks, to the Fling Show this evening. I'm one of your co-hosts, Chris McClung, and my other co-host, Mr. David Himmeline, will be here in just a moment. But first, as usual, we need to thank our show sponsors, Lone Star Disc, for everything that they do. Once again, the only disc made and manufactured in the state of Texas. And my goodness, their lineup is getting amazingly large. No reason you can't throw some of their plastic now. They have something for everybody, flying every different type of way that you can imagine. So thank you, Lone Star Disc, for sponsoring the show. And let's get on to our show this week. My goodness gracious. David, you sent me some wonderful shots this week. I really enjoyed it. I think that might be one of my favorite dives on a disc in a while that I have seen. And of course, the wonderful selfie that you took as well. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Yeah, I've got to thank my other Chris friend that I also do a little creative venture with, co-writing songs, and we're always bantering back and forth about art and music and stuff like that. And he has the AI thing. He loves it. And so I just send him, I call it AI food. So I send him a picture, and that was one of them. I just did this crazy. I knew he was going to do something with it. He's the one that put the unicorn on my forehead. He doesn't know the unicorn thing at all either. He just, for some reason, he thought unicorn. So I think he channeled Chris McClung. That's what he calls my forehand.
Well, I would also like to point out that the opening music was some new music that, of course, it's new to me. David has just an amazing plethora of music that we use on the show, especially at the beginning of our show and our run-up advertisement. And that tune is awesome. There are another 3 or 4 that you sent me that I really like as well. Cannot wait to use those. So that's a big part of the show is David's music. He really sets the tone. And I wanted to say, I really enjoyed that ditty.
Yeah, that was cool. That was shortly after I got the jazz guitar. This one hanging right here. It's a Peerless Monarch from Southpaw Guitars in Bel Air, Texas, which is where I was at this morning. I didn't get to stop by because I got Ubered quick right back to the airport. So I was over in Bel Air from the airport. And then bang back to the airport, Bush Airport. So that's good. It gets me home. But yeah, so I didn't get to go by there. I was 5 minutes from there. But
all right. Well,
anyway, so I'm done for the night after the video. I was so entertained. I think we could probably just call it a night. Thanks for all the hard work. Those are
you like
cool,
that? I love the ace rate.
Yeah.
Well, you captured that ace run really well. I thought, especially on hole number 2 over there off north side, and then that I'm telling you, Evan almost hit. I guess that's at Shawshank number 20, Lucky's hole. I guess it is. He almost hit that ace there, and almost hit 18 as well. And of course, John was back up to his putting prowess. As you can see, he and Buster were teammates. They were playing doubles, and you could see that they had a little trouble with the, I guess that's jailhouse putt over there as well. But lots of fun to be had. Of course, I did park that lariat with that tomahawk. I do love that shot. However, Himmy, we got a new little segment. Easy for you. It's going to be called Do You Know? Okay. First question is do you know how many FPO players have at least 1 point on the Disc Golf Pro Tour standings this year? Is it A, 56? Can you read the choices?
Point. Oh yeah.
You at least have to have 1 point on in the tour standings. Okay. Is it A, 56, B, 77, C, 124, D, 156, or E, 234?
Okay. This is worldwide, I guess.
Correct.
156.
Close. Very, very close. One. Do what?
The bigger one, 234.
234.
Wow. Okay. I should have said that was my first instinct.
234 FPO players have at least 1 point. I was blown away. At first, my first guess was somewhere in the 50s to 70s. That was my first guess. And then when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay. Now, let's move on to the MPO players. Have at least 1 point on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. You have 150, 212, 506, 618, and 1,011.
Okay, strange stats here, but they're, I guess, somewhat telling about the sport. I guess I'll go with D again. 618.
618. Yeah. Just a little over this time.
Okay.
506.
Okay, so twice that.
506 players.
Wow.
I know. I was amazed. And the amazing thing on like that is there was probably another 400 names that don't have points. So, I mean, it was over almost 1,000 MPO players. And I was kind of just taken aback by that. I had no earthly idea that many.
I did notice, I just read something came across my feed of Stokely. Did you see the Stokely thing? He's in the lead in MPO 50.
I did see it. That kind of brings me up to my next thing is kind of getting close right now to the cut line. Who's going to make it to the finals for the Disc Golf Pro Tour? Okay. And of course, this is the FPO, and right there on that.
Just moving up 2 spots. Lisa Fakis. Seems like we've lost Chris. Yeah, we've lost. I'm now the host. So yeah, Lisa Focus. Hopefully we'll have Chris back here in a second.
Yeah, it's connecting.
There we go. You're back.
There he goes. So get back to there we go. So you have Lisa at number 19, and right there at number 23, another Texan, Alexis Malhandro is right there. And it's kind of funny. The point swings are pretty drastic as we saw in the men's this week. Hopefully, let me get back to my backdrop. Sorry, I had them all picked out until I got closed out there. And then so that's the ladies. And then you have the men's right here. Okay. And right there, you can also see who's right there and on that cut line, Mr. Burridge, Lone Star Disc, and right there, Chandler Kramer, also Lone Star Disc, but already in Nicola Castro, as you can see, and right above Nicholas is Emerson. So Emerson Keith is also in at this time. So you have a lot of the Lone Star guys really on the line going into these last few tournaments. Do you happen to know when the last tournament is before?
I do not, man. I was gonna ask you what the cut line means. Like, when is the deadline? When do they start cutting them off there? I'm not sure how it works, man.
I'm not either, but I can tell you this. It is amazing. If you look right here, Samuel Lazat, who won this past weekend, you can see his up total as far as how many points that he gained by winning a tournament. So you have a lot of movement that can be had by placing higher, winning a tournament. Because if you look right here, Burridge is what, 374, and it's only 391 above him. And if I'm not mistaken, Chandler Kramer this week jumped up 62 points. Is that, I believe it's 62 points.
It looks like 42 on mine.
Okay, 42, but still. So
that's
there's the ability.
So you get 100 points and you're way up. You're moving.
And that's what I was saying. If you go look at what Lazat did right here, he picked up what, 80 something. Kind of, he's right there on the bottom. He slipped into the top 10 over the weekend with Heimberg still leading the way. But take a look at this top 10 in the Disc Golf Pro Tour and tell me what name is missing that kind of surprises you. You want me to get back up? There you go. Take a look again.
No, I've got it. I just I know who it is.
It's Paul.
Paul Macbeth, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's at 22nd right now.
Okay, yeah, we were talking about Paul
from not making it, but still,
yeah,
to be not even in the top 20s. I don't know if what that's all about, but Gannon Burr right now is he's just running away with it.
Yeah,
Heimberg. Heimberg.
Heimberg, yeah,
Heimberg. Sorry,
Gannon's dropped one. Yeah, wow.
Isn't that amazing? And now let's move over to the ladies. Of course, Tatar, who didn't play this weekend, but she's definitely got a huge lead over Missy Gannon, who did play, and of course, Owen
in the championship. They had some kind of championship that Kristen won in over in Estonia. She became a national champion there, and I don't know how that relates to points.
No, you get points because it's all international players as well.
She racked up then because she won their championship, her national championship. So
okay, well that goes, yeah.
She had, I think, like 16 stroke lead going into the final hole and won by 3. She had a meltdown. She hit a wall and she went totally emotional after that. Lost it, and with tears. And I was thinking back and forth, talking to my brother, who also watches like he's the one that should be doing the show. He watches and he knows stats and all that stuff. But he was watching her, and he said, when I heard what he's the one that told me that story. I didn't actually get to see her play, but it was on the network, so Dale watched the whole thing. So. I said, well, that's just bad news for everybody else, because now she has something to work on. If you were to shoot 3 10-50 rounds and win your national championship, you might be a little bit lax going into Worlds. You might be a little chilled out about it. But no, you lose 13 strokes and then have a mental meltdown. You're gonna be hard. You're gonna be working. Now you're like, okay, now I'm going for worlds. So
Right.
my prediction is world domination from Kristen.
World domination.
But
Well,
it
it's
will be
funny.
what it'll be fun to watch. And Missy is always in the hunt there.
Hmm.
But it'll be fun to watch Owen and Kristen because totally different games, really.
Well, speaking of that, I really that's what I was really watching over the weekend was the Discraft Great Lakes Open on the toboggan course. And to watch Owen, I mean, 7-7 and then 6 down, and really would have gone 7 down again had she not got OB on her approach shot, her up shot on 18, where she ended up just pitching up to tap in for the win. But at the age of 40 years old, impressive to get her first DGPT Tour win after finishing second 5 times last year. And she has won, I don't know if you knew this stat as well, she had won every single 40 and over FPO tournament that she entered into this year. Owen has every single one that she stepped out there, she's won, and this is their first FPO that she's won ever. So quite an amazing job. It was fun to really watch the ladies play again, the competitiveness and how close they were. Just wonderful to see. And you can see the finishes here as well. But even Kat Mertz coming in third, Misty Gannon coming in fourth. It was just a great tournament to watch. And of course, on the guys' side, Lazat, I don't know if you heard what he said after the round, but that was the first time he had ever won a 4-day event, which I found quite impressive.
Yeah.
And he talked about the mental struggle and how, the course itself with those hills was not only mentally challenging, but physically challenging. But, just to go down to the wire, to the end, but be able to take home the win, that was quite impressive to watch as well. What'd you think about that tournament?
Amazing. It was visually probably one of my favorites. And we watched Paul. That was where Paul shot his 18 down, but it just didn't come across as brilliant as it did last weekend when Paul did that. Something about the way we're filming with drones and, the coverage is better. So now it's like you're really getting to showcase quality visual experience. It's really blew my mind, actually. I loved it. All those elevated up shots, that seem easy. We know they're not, where you're landing it on a shelf coming in from a weird angle and, all that stuff. Thing that stood out to me on that tournament was Simon. He leaves 3 announcers with their mouths gaping open when he goes, I think it was hole 16, when he intentionally throws it OB and then steps, his meter in and just drains a little, par putt. He made that hole. He used up that. Yeah, he just owned the moment right there. And all the announcers, if you go back and watch it, they're like, what? They were like, and so he's like one step ahead of everybody right now in his game planning.
Well, I loved what he said about it in the interview afterwards. He said it was the right play. And he goes, I didn't even think about the shot until Heimberg threw his shot. And then he realized that was the play. He goes, I have had in my mind what I was going to do on that hole. But when I saw that, I made up my mind right then. And that won him the tournament. And once again, that's where the tournament director is probably going to fix that and take that away. Because, to me, competitively, perfect play. But to me, it kind of takes away the purpose of the hole, just to be able to go up and over and no matter where you land.
It's interesting because you got 2 things going here. You got winning and you got having good kind of a moral standard to the game. So you take the non-moral shot, which is I'm going to throw it out and just beat the rules here and win the tournament. You see what I'm saying? Like one time we talked about this when I'm losing you.
I got you back.
Okay. So we talked about this when we interviewed Chris Sprague one time. A tournament I was playing with Sprague. There's a hole where they found a cheater route, and the hole was designed to go, tough gap down this gully, back up, and you want to finish right, like a good lefty skip shot, and then that'll give you a 350-foot shot into the green, low ceiling. Not a lot of people are going to get that birdie 3, but everybody discovered the cheater route, which happened to be playing over other holes, and the tournament hadn't made it a Mando yet, and so we're all just faced with the dilemma: do we cheat it? And we're like, all 3 of us except for Sprague said, hell yeah, we're cheating it. And we all got pars. I think some people one guy got a birdie. It was Tank. I think Tank got a 3. I got a 4. Sprague gets a 6, I think, which would be 2 over par. And he went the correct way. And we talked about that for a long time. And we even talked to Sprague about it that night when we interviewed him. It's a moral dilemma, it's not what's intended, but it's okay because it's legal, because you can do it. So,
Which I don't have a problem with that. I just think that oftentimes players teach the course designer and the tournament director, wherein lies the rule changes that they will make for the next time. 100%. I'm fairly sure you won't see. I'm fairly sure you will not see that shot next year at
and
that
that's a
same
message
course.
That's a message to all course designers. Run it by somebody. All these guys, I was thinking about if I were to run into Burridge or any of our guys, Lone Star touring guys, it's going to be different now because now they're stars. So I'm playing a mini, and then Burridge shows up. I'm like, oh God, he used to not worry me. Now I'm like, oh, he's winning, because they've been out there hammering it. So you design a course and get somebody like that who's been out there on tour and playing all those great courses to run it by them and say, hey, what's my problem here?
Because they see it differently. They see the shot completely differently than the normal human being does. Whereas you're going, oh, I only see it a 400-foot shot like this. They're going, no, I can go 500 feet up and above and get out of everything and put it right over there without any of your distractions or any of the things that you try to put in the way for me to hit. I've decided, oh, you've left this window up for me. And you as a TD and you as a course designer oftentimes aren't built that way. You're like,
I've seen it happen with certain guys, and some touring guys aren't necessarily course designer. It's kind of like a gift, but I saw it with Felberg one time. I was in Kansas City and they asked me to host him at a private course for Worlds to show him the course. And he showed me what a pro does to a course. He found every problem with it, but he's a hyper intelligent disc golf guy. He's probably the most intelligent disc golfer out there. He had like 20 different notes and they changed everything after that round. Just one guy's perspective. So, if you make a course, run it by some smart people
first, right? Yeah. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, but you and I have kind of talked about this a little bit in the past. Is the amount of attention that disc golf has started to bring. And as well as I do, sometimes the more stars that you bring out, the bigger the event becomes. And I don't know if over the weekend you happened to see a couple of the stars that were at that Discraft tour this weekend. Were you happen to see who they were by chance?
No, who was that?
Well, let's take a look here. First, you have Bert Kreschner, however you say his name. I know he's just a comedian, actor, kind of a Joe Rogan fame, and now he's kind of done a couple of his own shows. And then, of course, you have the UFC fighter Ben Askren, who is not only a fan of disc golf, but if I'm not mistaken, came in second at the U.S. championships back in the day. And this you can go look up. So he is not only one of the best fighters in UFC history. And I know I say that tongue in cheek because he wasn't there very long, but the guy was really damn good. and he's also a disc golfer. And so you're starting to see this now where the stars are really starting to come out and support disc golf. So what are your thoughts on that? And this is a picture of Bert at the tournament this weekend. Both of them actually this weekend.
Wow. Yeah, I compare that to Austin in the 80s, living in Austin in the 80s and 90s. You know, it's like everybody who's cool, all of a sudden Matthew McConaughey wants to move there, you know. It's like disc golf is like Austin in the 80s, I think. It's people are starting to go, hey, that's a cool place. I like that. I like the way that looks. That's a cool sport, you know, and we're gonna get more and more of these guys, you know.
I know that I think that if I'm not mistaken, Paul Macbeth built the course on Ben Askren's property for him. He had asked him to do it, and they're friends. So it's just, I think the more eyes that we bring to disc golf and the more that you see stars coming out, because there's also golfers who are out there who are disc golfers, which I find fascinating as well. Bubba, Bubba Watson, you know, the long driver from Arkansas.
Yeah.
He's a big disc golfer as well. So it's a wonderful thing to see. And I didn't know if you happened to see that this weekend.
No, I did not. I had it on and I was kind of like in recovery mode and just kind of in the background. I wasn't really watching intensely as I usually do because my mental state was kind of crazy. And I also had some company. My sister came, stayed a couple of days and stuff, but I think I was recovering from COVID. So yeah, I missed that. I'm glad you caught that.
Yeah. Like I said, it's kind of fun to see. And I kind of feel like you did. I mean, we've both been recovering. Energy level has definitely been down. The heat outside has not made me want to go outside at all.
It does not help.
And when I did go out the one time I went, well, I tell you what, it really was everything I could do just to get through the 23 holes. And I thought I didn't drink enough water again. But there's one more thing I want to do before we leave this evening. You kind of had reached out to me through John Houck to get together a past interview in the vault that we did. And it kind of gave me the idea that, you know, John's right. Oftentimes, as you and I have done on this show many times before, we try to bring out the best in disc golf and especially highlight those who need it highlighted the most. And he had wanted us to bring out Dee's part of the interview that we had with him. I think that was almost 8-9 months ago. So I wanted to bring up a little, you know, from the vault interview that, and then just bring Dee's part of it. So if you want to sit back, enjoy, it's about 10 minutes long, but full of great information. And I think that it's something that needs to be highlighted. And I want to thank you and John for bringing it out again and to my attention. And here it is. Let's check this out.
The Fling Show. The Fling Show.
Before then. And I thought, just like any other industry, okay, I'll put all my eggs in this basket. It'll take 5 years and then, you know, we'll be rocking and rolling. We'll have plenty of business, even if it's something new and people aren't used to paying designers for design. And so it was tough, really tough, because you couldn't market something that people don't have value associated with when they don't even understand what's the big deal. Anybody can go out there and mark tees, mark baskets. Unless you're a player and you understand and appreciate design, in the world of Parks and Rec, it was always like, oh yeah, we've got a guy here, he's a pro, he can design it. Why should we pay you, right? And a lot of that still carries over. So from a marketing standpoint, what I realized early on is it's going to take education. So we really took a lot of time doing proposals and educating the Parks and Rec. The private sector clients was always easier, but the sport really grew out of Parks and Rec, right? And free courses and playing. And so I would do back then even shared information that people weren't necessarily doing. Players weren't really putting together a proposal that had demographics, that had income demographics, that did projections for usage, or that did, showed them, hey, there's this many courses and this is what a fairway looks like. A really great fairway can look like this, and it can be this big, and it really takes this many hours to put a really great course together, and it's going to require this much type of this many acres of clearing, and then it's selective clearing, and so just details and hours and hours, and I don't know, we've got a list where I think we've got like 800 on the list. Parks and Rec that actually have reached out to us over the years that we've had some engagement with, and there might be some that are not on the list. And then if we go back in 2017, we did that till about 2017, and then 2017 we hit the road. I don't know if you know this story. We sold everything and we hit the road, and we were on the road 5 years, pretty much all over the country. And there's other reasons for that too, which I won't go into here. But while we were there, we really were able to connect with different communities across the country and really see the spirit of disc golf and how much these players give back. And really that fueled my fire, over the years that I saw these guys are doing so much work. They're taking on liability, not getting paid. So I really wanted to do something for them, and started 3 Disc Golf. But going back to marketing, it's just not an easy thing. But I think we're at a time, finally, where we're not having to market. It's so refreshing. We were quoting budgets of $500,000, 5, 7, 8 years ago. I find these proposals that I did, and now we're quoting 7 figures. So it's not about us making money. It's about people recognizing the value in the real world, what a disc golf course is, what that capital asset is worth. With all the clearing, if you had to hire professionals to do it, that's what the real cost of it would be, that volunteers are donating their time to build these beautiful places and communities. So because we're all about disc golf, we wanted to do every course possible, right? I think, John agrees, communities should have just as beautiful courses as private venues. Why not? What the volunteers bring to the sport, and I just want to cover that for a second first, is immeasurable. It's profound. How much, we've got a course right now, it's all volunteer labor in Abilene State Park, and it brings me to tears how hard these guys are working on the weekend, day after day, for 6 years now, to create this beautiful place that everybody will get to play for free for a long time. So yes, the answer to the question is we have done lots of recreational courses. John has done recreational courses. I didn't really start designing until, I want to say, 5, 6 years ago, maybe not even that long. Because I just think, living with him, breathing disc golf, I'm like, it's really complicated. He looks at 100 different things when he's designing. I don't care if it's a small course or a big course. So micro disc golf is a concept that I sort of created and evolved because there's all this parkland and there's all these little pocket parks, and they're not being used. And just like you said, basketball courts. My grandson loves disc golf and is crazy about basketball. He's 7 years old and he could play basketball all day. And that's when I realized the same analogy you mentioned today, that, every community, every house is going to have a basket eventually. When you think about it, they got everybody. Who doesn't have a basketball hoop in their driveway? Very few people, right? So I was thinking, I've always focused on business outside of the industry, new markets. And you were talking to me about, marketing. This is a slightly different topic, markets. But how do you grow a sport? You don't grow the sport from within the sport because it's already there. So from day one, our focus has been as a business to be outside the sport. So when I first came in, I thought this is going to be easy. I'm going to invite my country club friends. We're going to go play at Zilker Park, which we did. World's biggest disc golf weekend. I think it was 2006 or 5. And they loved it, but they don't go back. There's not those kinds of venues that are available for them to enjoy. Now there are more and more. We're going to see those private venues. But what happened is that I didn't meet a single person, and of course I wasn't a disc golfer totally. I had tried the sport once in the 80s and played a little bit here and there, but I didn't really, I was like those people that tried it. Yeah, it's great fun. I played Frisbee as a kid, but what I saw was that whoever picked up a disc and played disc golf, they loved it. So why is this not more popular? So yes, the focus has been to bring new people and introduce them. If we create these little pockets of courses that are easy, they're not intimidating, They don't have to buy 10 discs. So this is a mid-range only course. My new company, M Disc Golf, we started out as micro disc golf courses, and I changed it to M because I don't want to limit myself to just micro disc golf for communities. Why not do M putt courses? Why not do the micro course? Why not do, another variation, a par 3 course? Why not do a little tournament course? But those are not going to be, they're going to be done by associate designers who've learned design from John. And so they're going to have house design principles mixed in there, which is going to make them more interesting. But at the same time, they're not, he's not about hard. He's about like difficult courses, like make it hard for the players. He's about fair. He's about testing that fair, skill, testing it fairly. So that's what these courses are going to be about. They're going to be a positive sort of influence, a positive place type of course where they can go and enjoy. Now, the diehard disc golfers, the ones that, are playing on a par 2 hole, they're going for it, right? But the beginners are parring it, and it's reinforcing that this is a great thing. They get to hear the change, And so that's kind of the focus, I call it disc golf for all. That's what M Disc Golf. I have to be fair. I have to give credit where credit is due. I have to give credit to Terry in Memphis, Terry Ryan. We were sitting there one night. We were working with Memphis about 10 years ago. We're sitting around talking, and he said, "Hey, Dean, why don't you focus on these little pocket parks?" And that's really how the idea for micro disc golf kind of started, was from him. And then I kind of expanded it and grew it and threw the Hauk factor in it because I live with Mr. Hauk, and he had his, ideas on how we could do this. And so that's easy. Well, I don't play professionally. I've never played professionally. And I can't. I've got a knee injury and a shoulder injury, so it's going to have to be rec courses. We've got one by our house, which is my favorite course. It's a par 3 course, Jumano, Jumano, Jumano. John designed it so artistically and beautiful. If you look at the fairways, the trees, and how you utilize them. This is the part that's exciting for me, y'all. It's that when he gets involved in designing smaller courses, they're like just a smaller gem, they're just like a smaller diamond. And that's kind of what we're trying to do with M Disc Golf. So when you have these pocket parks, you want them to be little jewels for that community, so the fairways aren't just testing distance, they're strategy. So it's not easy and it's not hard, but it's complex, So yeah, Jumano's one, and then won 3. Oh, they've got to go to Flat Creek, and I said no championship. They've got to go there for the experience because it's wine tasting and it's beautiful. Texas Hill Country reminds me of Tuscany, Italy, really. Not just their wine cellar, but the nature there. It's just the diversity in topography, the peak, all of that. It's gorgeous. And what else in Texas? Oh, well, there's a lot in Texas. Of course, Rockwall, we redesigned Rockwall. So that's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I would not miss that. And what else in Texas? Zilker Park. Why you want to go there is it's a historic place for disc golf in Texas. It's the first course John designed ever. And he recently had to redesign 2 holes there. So I would tell him not to miss that experience. That course gets so many rounds. I'm shocked they can accommodate that many rounds. But I think those would be the 4 for the top of my head.
How about that? From the ball.
Wow. Yeah, she's like my soul sister, man. She's speaking my language. And I've been at that for years. Exactly what she's saying, every bit of it, including favorite courses, which are Zilker. I love Rockwall. What was the other one? Oh, Flat Creek. God, yes. So she's just like singing my song right there. That was great, man. Thanks for putting that together, Chris.
Yeah, you bet. I love the stuff from the vault. I mean, oftentimes we do these interviews and they go by and we forget about them. And then, somebody says, "Hey, won't you bring this back up?" And it's like, you know what? That was really well done. And the rest of that interview is just excellent with John as well. So y'all's part in that was wonderful.
That's funny. She said about baskets in the front yard. We got rid of our basketball basket because it's kind of in the way and it was getting old, and we passed it on. Somebody came and grabbed it. But we got the HOA called because I had a disc golf basket in the front yard, but they never called about the basketball hoop, I have this disc golf basket in the front, and the HOA is like, you have to take that down. I don't know what that's about, but anyway, that's all changed. That'll change. But that's what she's saying. Nobody thought there would be a basketball hoop, and you go down my neighborhood when I was a kid, almost everybody had a basketball goal.
Same here. And I mean,
Yeah.
and we were out there playing on it all the time as well. And that was kind of my question, not a question, but my inference to her was, it's like, every area and every little neighborhood has a small little park. And I loved her micro disc golf thought, because you and I have played, and I know it's a passion of yours and I love it, is that we have played a couple times where the hole was only 90 feet long, but it was fun.
Yeah. Definitely.
And so you don't have to have a lot of area to have a nice place to shoot a couple discs, and you don't need necessarily have to have 18 holes.
Mm-hmm. And she said something though that I've always said too. She was singing my song, was it doesn't have to be stupid really to be a cool hole, like or to be a short hole. Like when you think of short holes, you think, oh, it's just right there. But there's something to it because, John designed it that way, same with, when Andy sets up the par 2, within the trees, there's some character to it, it doesn't have to be just a few baskets here and there,
When you and I went to Armadillo, I mean, I don't know if I've had as much fun at playing disc golf as I've ever had playing that course. The short course there was just, it was so much fun. Same thing in Beaver Creek or Beaver Ranch up in Colorado. They have a little par 2 up at the front, and it's 18 holes. And it was just, it's so much fun being able to kind of go ace racing.
Dino Hills is another one like that. And I've pitched for Lone Star to do like a par 2. They so far that I haven't heard much traction on my $5 million bid, but like something with sculpture and or just innovation, car hoods or whatever, like they do out there at Armadillo, something like that is about to pop. And it's going to be a bar with food trucks and disc games. It's going to be like that, where you can actually get your drive on. Can you picture a pub like that?
Yes. Yes, I can.
Cools off, of course, but disc games out in the back. What a blast with all these kind of innovative, creative holes like putt-putt. But for people just sitting around drinking beers, that
I believe the kid's name is Casey White, who does a disc golf video podcast. He's a pro on tour. Very good. As a matter of fact, I think he came in second like the week before last. But he went to a place that was like the number 2 or 3 ranked place in the world. But it was amazing. Like you just said, that disc golf games, they had a putting course, and the putting course put different obstacles between you and around you, things you had to shoot between boards, or it could be slats that they were this big, or trees that were canted to where you'd have to flip it between it, and these shots may only be 25, 35, 40 feet, but it was a whole 18 holes. And it just looked like so much fun. And then, of course, they got to another part of the course where, like you said, they had trick shots where they had, tic-tac-toe, where you play tic-tac-toe disc golf, right? Where you had to hit the shot and it was done in squares in a basket. It was really it was like, that is something that we really need to promote and get out, because it just made it so much more fun. And then you saw the kids were enjoying it. The little kids could enjoy it because you're not having to throw it 25, 35, 40 feet, and they could pitch it around things. And it was fun to them, and they were having success. I just love that concept she had as well.
It's like Dee said, they can hear the chains. I think she made that comment, they can hear the chains. It's like they can throw a shot and then you heard chains. You might have aced it. Maybe you aced it. But yeah, I'm picturing it being, like an old mall or something, like they closed down Randall's. I think they're putting, I'm not sure what they're putting in, but you could go into a place like that and create, with a little bit of carpentry and innovation, you could create some really putt experience indoors, even,
Oh,
which,
indoors would be
you might
off the
want to, he
charts.
might want to consider that in
That
Texas, an
that's to
indoor venue.
me would just be a win-win in Texas. You
Yeah,
just
I'd
hit
be
the
there
nail on the
tonight.
head right
I'd
there.
go there right now if it was
Yes.
open. Because we can't play,
Mm-mm.
And if you do, you're risking your life,
And it's not you're not kidding, but it is kind of true. If
No.
you do not get out early, we were lucky when we got out to Shawshank that we got out there at 9 and we're able to get done fairly early before noon, before the real heat kicked in. And of course, that's one of the most shady courses around as well. But you get out there, you think you have enough water, and you realize, oh, I don't have enough water. It's not a good place to be, especially in Texas. It's just really too
Yeah.
hot. But I agree, indoors, Hemi, would just be an amazing thing. And like you said, an old Randall's, an old grocery store, that would just be.
Mall
Oh,
might be too big, but
yeah, you can afford that, but that would be epic. I mean,
yeah.
Greens Point Mall, could you imagine? I mean, they're not even using 3/4 of that mall right
Oh
now.
yeah, you could do it there, and you could actually have some people paint some murals like that one behind you in the screen there, on the disc. Like that place needs some life, man. I was actually dropped off somebody there. There's a metro pickup in the Greens Point, parking lot, and so I was actually driving in there, and I was just looking around going, what a waste of wall space. The old folies is like, it looks like it's, fungus, it's like
Mm.
little spray paint, maybe, like employ some graffiti artists to
Hemi,
put
you
something.
just said Foley's. There's nobody watching this show who knows what Foley's was. They may know Dillard's, but that is kind of funny. I know Foley's. That's like the other day I said Joskies. My wife was like, Joskies? I've never heard Joskies. I was like, oh man.
Yeah,
No.
it's Foley's, right? Anyway, one
Yeah.
of those old
Remember Pally
stores.
Royal? That was another one
Yeah,
that was out there. It was kind of the same thing. I mean, we are
yeah,
definitely come from that mall generation where the mall was actually fun and it was
yeah.
exciting. It was a place to go. It was a place to hang out. People enjoyed it. And
Man, I had a cool Houston experience. You'll appreciate this, being a Houstonian. But like when you take the HOV from the Woodlands, where do you get off if you want to go west 45 and not end up cutting all the way through downtown, which is what I did with my rider. She was on her laptop. She didn't even know. So, but my point is, I got the pleasure of cutting right down the middle of Houston, and I had this moment. I actually took some pictures, but I had this moment because I was flashing back to our night there at House of Blues, but just kind of a general love for Houston came over me. And right behind me, I hear lowrider, boom, bum, 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 bum. And it's a guy on a motorcycle, and he's got a great system. It sounds like it's coming from my car, like inside my car. And I'm like, and this is my Houston experience. So I look around, and there he goes, big guy with leather jacket, and he has a leather Houston Oiler hat on, the leather version, he's all leathered up, and that song just plays by, and then I'm just looking downtown, and I'm looking for House of Blues because I'm thinking maybe we're on that road. I wanted to show this lady, she was from Utah. I was going to show her some Houston. But anyway, my point is, I just love Houston, man. It's just a cool vibe, I love driving down there. It's crazy, it's manic, but I don't know, man. What's not to like?
if you can drive in Houston, you can drive anywhere in the world. That's all I have to tell you. If
Yeah.
you can drive on the freeways in Houston, Texas, you can drive anywhere.
Especially while pushing Uber buttons and
Oh,
texting.
and I've been on the Autobahn, all the way from Switzerland to Germany, and Germany all the way. I mean, it would be Germany to Switzerland, Switzerland all the way down to Italy. So I've been on the Autobahn where we were going 110 and they were passing us by like we were sitting still.
God,
That's
sounds
kind of
like
crazy.
driving through the Woodlands.
Yeah, not when you go at 110. I mean, we were
No.
going 110 and they were
Wow.
passing us. And I was
Mm.
like, okay, y'all are just freaking crazy. But of course, high-end cars, sports cars, whatever. But still, you drive here, you can drive anywhere. Well, that's all I have for this evening. You have anything else?
I can't really think of anything. Just, hang in there, everybody.
Yeah. All of our friends
be
that are
nice.
sick, Travis, Matt.
I wanted to real quick, just offer up some airspace for our good friend who passed away this week, John, over at Spring Valley. It's tough to hear that. And I didn't know him other than just the guy behind the counter, but I just wanted to make a point to mention how your vibe is so important and the way you treat people is so important. And John, he treated everybody the same, and it was very grandfatherly. It was like your dad. It was like hanging out with your dad or something.
I got to know John pretty well when I worked up there at Spring Valley, and he and I spent many hours of talking, and he was a huge Ohio State football fan. And he and I would go back and forth. And believe it or not, he played basketball as well. And he's from the Ohio area. And he used to talk about that as well. John was a wonderful soul, great spirit. I love my conversations with him, and he will definitely be missed. And thank you so much for bringing that to light, Hemi. Because he was just a wonderful spirited person. And I, for one, am lucky that I got to spend so much time with him, just downtime sitting around. It was really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this show dedicated to John.
Yes, Mr. John. He'll be up there watching his Buckeyes. I can guarantee you that. He talked about them religiously. Every time I come in there, he and I'd always talk about them. So I kind of miss that.
That's good. That gives me somebody to root for or just watch for. Something cool happens this year with the Buckeyes. We know John had something to do with it, but
for sure. Well, you and I need to get out and see if we can throw something in the air before it gets too hot. And so I'll hit you up again.
Okay. All right. Thanks for all the hard work. I was thoroughly entertained, man. Thanks for
it's always a lot of fun. I thought you might enjoy these, especially with the facts. It's always kind of fun seeing it. I was amazed how many people there were. So, but anyway, till next time, guys, y'all throw something in the air. Go flung it, right? So go flung it.
Go fling it, bruh.
Go fling it, bruh. You have a good night. Wouldn't be the end of the night until we have Mr. Mikey. You know what he's got to do. Turn it around, Mike. Good night, folks. Peace. See you next week. Be nice. We love you, John.